the correct fertilizer. You know, we've been using DAP in Kenya for a long time. This year, I made a policy decision that we are not going to allow any importation of DAP into Kenya. And that is what we did. So we imported the fertilizer which our scientists assessed our soils and told us, these are the nutrients that are lacking in your soil, these are the correct nutrients. We did formulation of fertilizer that we are using for our farmers. Our farmers made noise, but I am telling you today, they are the happiest people. They are the ones who are telling us, you gave us the right fertilizer. That's number one. Number two is to reduce post-harvest losses. We lose between 30 and 35, maybe sometimes even 40% of what we produce because of poor storage, lack of transport, lack of infrastructure for drying, and many other things. So, what are we doing? We're doing three things. Number one, to reduce the loss of milk, we are distributing 650 milk coolers around Kenya to make sure that our farmers can get to a milk cooler within half an hour of them milking, so that we can improve the quality of our milk and we can reduce losses from milk because of milk going to waste, number one. Number two, we're investing close to $30 million to make sure that our farmers have dryers, especially in the grain areas. And number three, we are doing market infrastructure. We're building around 400 markets around Kenya, and we are building another 50 county aggregation and industrial parks where you have storage, including cold rooms, and where you can add value to some of your produce so that we not only save on post-harvest losses because of poor storage or lack of cold room, but we also add value and take it forward. Again, that increases our productivity and our production because we eliminate post-harvest losses. And finally, and I'm saying this just so that I don't take a lot of your time. We are working on how, and I really liked what President Suluhu said, that government is careful to make sure that farmers have affordable financing or accessible, affordable credit. The same way, Mama Suluhu, you told us in your statement that Tanzania is making sure that farmers have access to credit at below 10%. In fact, you told us 9%. That is exactly what we are doing in Kenya. In fact, we are adding 10 billion shillings to Agricultural Finance Corporation to make sure that farmers have seasonal credit that they can use to expand their productivity. And finally, and this is maybe unique to Kenya, because it's just good to tell you as our neighbors, many of you don't know that 85% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid. So when my sister from UAE was speaking, I was paying very keen attention, because what she's saying is partly what we are experiencing. And that is why in Kenya, we are working with Afri-Exim Bank, we are working with the World Bank and other partners to build 100 mega dams, 1,000 micro dams for water storage, because the future rains are going to be very unpredictable. And sometimes we confuse rain for water. We need water to grow food. We don't need rain. Let me say that again. I said we need water to grow food. It is not rain we are looking for. So sometimes we get confused and wait for the rain instead of looking for the water. So I think that is as far as that goes. Let me finally talk about the young people. There is no future in agriculture unless we bring the young people on board. The average age of a farmer in Kenya is about 60 years. So, and when I became Minister for Agriculture, and I had a discussion with my peers then, the logo for the Ministry of Agriculture at that time was an old woman with ile jembe, the hoe, ile jembe. That was the logo of the Ministry of Agriculture. Explain to me how young people are going to have a different perception as a farmer if the logo of the Ministry of Agriculture is an old woman na jembe ameweka hapa kwa mgongo. That is how we changed. Tukabadilisha ile logo, tukaweka hapo greenhouse na irrigation infrastructure. Just, we need to create a new narrative around agriculture for us to bring young people on board. And let me say two things that I think of my head is, number one, technology. Technology will bring the young people into agriculture. That is why my dear sister from UAE said, a young person can be an agroeconomist or agrotechnologist, but not a farmer. But it's the same thing, right? So, technology. How have we brought technology into the agricultural equation? Number one, I told you we registered all our farmers and we use technology to distribute our fertilizer, number one. Number two, today we are using e-Citizen, a government platform, digital platform, to disseminate agricultural extension service. So, because you can only do the correct farming if you have the correct information. And number three, we are using technology also for purposes of meteorology and early warning. I find many farmers in rural Kenya today, in fact, wanatumia neno la Kiswahili, yule mtu wa magician, ule wa simu, anasema itanyesha next week. That is how technology is helping inform farmers to plan themselves how to take this forward. And finally, mechanization is going to recruit young people into agriculture. I see it with my own children. Unless you mechanize, it becomes very difficult for young people to be recruited into that space. When you mechanize, they easily can identify with agriculture. So, and if I talk about Kenya, 45% of our agriculture is mechanized. We still have a whole 55% mechanization to do. And that is scope that we can use to recruit the young people of our continent into the agriculture space. Let me conclude by saying one final thing. The billionaires of the future, according to Africa Development Bank, will not be people in Google and all the other spaces. They will be people in agriculture. So if you want to be a rich man in future, you have to begin to go to the right corner. Start being a farmer. And I am telling you from experience because I am one of them. So, mujipange hapo kwa kilimo kama unatafuta pesa huko mbele. Hapo kwa kilimo ndio mabilionea watakuwa tukisonga mbele. Na kutakuwa na, I think they say, thuluthi mbili, 65% ya ardhi ya kilimo, arable and uncultivated land, iko katika bara letu la Afrika. Therefore, we have the greatest potential in this continent in the agricultural space, and we should take advantage of it. Kwanza nyinyi ndugu zetu wa Tanzania, mko na mvua nyingi kutuliko sisi wa Kenya. Nyinyi ndio mungekuwa mnazalisha chakula kingi ya East Africa. Na mnafanya bidii, ni vizuri sana, mnafanya bidii. Tunatumia chakula kingi kutoka Tanzania kule Kenya. Lakini kuna watu wachache pale kwa mpaka. Kuna watu wachache wakorofi, watu wajeuri, na saa zingine wazembe. Wanafikiria kwamba mpaka ni ya kuzuia ama ni kizuizi. Hapana, mpaka ni daraja, ni kivukio. Kwenda Kenya ama kuja Tanzania. Si namna hiyo? Na namshukuru sana Mama Samia, ametusaidia kuwakalia hawa watu wa pale mpakani. Walikuwa wametunyanyasa sana, lakini siku hizi tumepata nafuu. Na mjue ya kwamba biashara kati ya Kenya na Tanzania is almost balanced. You just need to sell us more food and then it will be balanced. Mambo kwisha, si ndio? So mujipange hapo. Nimewaibia siri. Sasa msipotumia shauri yenu. Whatever you do with that information is up to you. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. One more time, a big round of applause for President Ruto. And that concludes this section of the Presidential Summit. Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. We appreciate your time and your insight. Asanteni sana. You may take your seats because we are about to watch a video from our hosts, Tanzania, and we want to make sure that their excellencies can see the video that we are referring to before we conclude the session. Again, as they take their seats, one more time, a big round of applause for their excellencies, President Mwinyi, President Hassan, President Ruto, and President Ndayishimiye. And now, as we do that, I want to just give a big thank you. I was told to do this before I forget. Don't worry, President Mwinyi will do a proper vote of thanks. Mine is just to thank the Africa Food Systems Partners Group for their contribution to food systems transformation. Would you please now turn your attention to the screens?
Tanzania, East Africa. Here, a transformation of unparalleled significance is taking root. Tanzania's agricultural evolution, driven by its visionary Agenda 1030, is rewriting the story of food security, not just on the continent, but across the globe. It ensures food security within its borders, but also contributes significantly to global sustenance. Join us on this journey as we delve into the country's visionary Agenda 1030, a blueprint for an agricultural revolution that transcends borders. A beacon of transformation, this land carries the hope of Africa's agricultural future. It's not just its size, 945,000 square kilometers to be exact, that is amazing. You see, 44 million hectares, close to half of the country, is suitable for agriculture. And at the moment, only around 15 million hectares are in use. From highlands, plateaus, plains, rivers, lakes, the adjacent Indian Ocean and the Zanzibar archipelago just offshore gives rise to 4 distinct climatic zones with 2 seasons of rainfall. It is these diverse climatic conditions that allow for almost anything to grow here. Tanzania is a youthful country. 70% of the country's 61 million people are youth under the age of 40, and the average age in the country is 18. With over 65% of its population engaged in agriculture, Tanzania is invested in the idea of being a food basket for the continent of Africa and the globe. Under the visionary leadership of Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, the agricultural landscape of the country has witnessed remarkable progress and transformation, largely driven by the private sector. At the core of Tanzania's agricultural metamorphosis lies Agenda 1030. With an annual target growth rate of 10% by 2030, up from the current 5.4%, this comprehensive strategy encompasses diverse aspects from crop diversification to embracing cutting-edge technologies, all driving towards bolstering food security and economic prosperity on a grand scale. Currently, Tanzania's agriculture contributes 26.2% to the GDP, with crops contributing 16%. During the last 2 decades, Tanzania has been 100% self-sufficient in the production of staple foods, with a 15 to 20% surplus. The agricultural sector currently contributes 65% of all raw materials used in the nation's factories, and agricultural exports have seen an increase from $375 million in 1992 to $1.38 billion in April 2023. With relentless dedication, unwavering focus, and genuine concern for the betterment of the country, President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan's government plans to double the amount of land used for agriculture in Tanzania from 15 million to 30 million hectares by 2050. The expectation is to also increase the nation's export bill from $1.4 billion to $5 billion by 2030, with 50% of exports processed in the country, up from the current 10%. The government also intends to create 3 million new jobs for youth and women by 2025 and plans to reduce poverty by 50% by 2030. It also wants to ensure the 100% availability of raw materials for local industries, reduce post-harvest losses from around 30 to 40% now to 5% by 2030, reduce the import bill of oil, wheat and other cereals, increase horticulture production, and finally, increase overall productivity and production in the country. Never in the history of the country has the agricultural budget received this amount of attention. The president's strong will to transform agriculture in the country has seen major budget increments for the sector, from $88 million in 2020-2021 to $420 million in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, equivalent to an over 400% increase. Recognizing global challenges with regard to climate change and the country's immense agricultural potential, Tanzania is investing massively in irrigation projects. Existing and planned initiatives aim to harness the country's water resources efficiently, reducing dependency on rain-fed agriculture. It should be noted that Tanzania has over 29 million hectares that could be irrigated. Up until April 2023, the area under irrigation was 727,000 hectares, equivalent to 60.6% of the goal of reaching 1.2 million hectares by 2025. Under Agenda 1030, the government's goal is to get this number to 8.5 million hectares by 2030. Through the Building a Better Tomorrow program, or BBT, the government is promoting Tanzanian youth engagement in agribusiness for sustainable and improved livelihoods. Under the initiative, large collective farms or block farms for young people are being established. The government, under the able leadership of President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, aims at increasing access to block farms to reach 1 million hectares, creating more than 8 million jobs by 2030, and thereby increasing the participation of self-employed young people in the agricultural sector. Under it, youth and women are mentored and given theory and practical training for 3 months at various learning centers. A major program is being implemented to distribute soil scanners, tablets, motorcycles, and extension kits to all 6,704 agricultural extension officers all over the country. call centers have been set up and GPS mapping of farms carried out. To top all of that, President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan's government has also negotiated for concessional loans to farmers from private banks to the tune of a single-digit interest rate, paving the way for the growth of agribusiness in the country. Tanzania's agricultural prowess extends beyond the mainland. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Zanzibar's Blue Economy Initiative centers on fishery and spice production. This program not only boosts local economies, but also strengthens the nation's position as a global supplier of high-quality seafood and spices. Since 2020, Zanzibar has registered record investment projects worth $3 billion with the potential to create 9,000 jobs in the Isles. Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan's government is also leveraging technology to bridge gaps in Tanzania's agricultural sector, taking it to the next level. Additionally, the country's pro-agricultural policies beckon local and international investments, propelling agricultural advancement on an unprecedented scale. Because of these excellent conditions, one is sure to produce, and whatever you produce, you can sell. Tanzania's odyssey towards agricultural transformation exemplifies its unwavering dedication to food security and economic well-being. Through Agenda 1030, sustainable practices and visionary endeavors, Tanzania's journey resonates beyond its borders, shaping a brighter future for all. Together, let us provide solutions to Africa's food systems transformation. Let's feed the world.
The end of this presidential summit, I just need to make a quick announcement. Those invited to the state dinner, the host has organized transport outside the Julius Nyerere International Convention Center. So when this is over, if you're going to the state dinner, there's transport organized. It's now my pleasure to invite one more time President Hussein Ali Mwinyi of Zanzibar to deliver the vote of thanks. Rais Mwinyi, tafadhali. Karibu.
Mheshimiwa Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali mliopo, waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali wastaafu mliopo, waheshimiwa mawaziri wa nchi mbalimbali mliopo hapa, waheshimiwa mabalozi, wawakilishi wa mashirika ya kimataifa, waheshimiwa wajumbe wa Baraza la Wazee la AGRA, wawakilishi wa mashirika na wadau mbalimbali wa maendeleo mliohudhuria, ndugu washiriki wote wa kongamano hili, mabibi na mabwana. Nimepewa jukumu la kutoa neno la shukrani. Hivyo naomba nianze kwa kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutujalia uhai na afya njema na kutuwezesha kushiriki katika mkutano huu wa kihistoria wa viongozi wakuu wa nchi kuhusu kilimo na usalama wa chakula katika bara la Afrika. Napenda kuchukua fursa hii kumpongeza kwa dhati Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Mheshimiwa Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan kwa jitihada zake za kuleta maendeleo ya kiuchumi na kidiplomasia kwa nchi yetu na kwa bara la Afrika. Kwa hakika, haya ni matokeo chanya ya utekelezaji wa sera mpya ya diplomasia ya uchumi ya Tanzania. Aidha, nawapongeza washiriki wote, hususan taasisi zote za kimataifa, kikanda na wadau wote wa maendeleo walioshirikiana na Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania katika kufanikisha kongamano hili lenye lengo la kuleta mageuzi makubwa katika sekta ya kilimo. Naipongeza vile vile Secretariat ya AGRF na Baraza la Wazee la AGRA wakiongozwa na viongozi wetu wastaafu kwa mchango wao katika harakati za mageuzi katika sekta ya kilimo na usalama wa chakula kwa maendeleo yetu. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, natambua michango mikubwa ya wadau wote waliofanikisha shughuli mbalimbali za kongamano hili muhimu kwa Afrika. Na washukuru wadau wote wa maendeleo, mashirika yasiyo ya kiserikali, taasisi za elimu, mabenki, na wafadhili wote waliofanikisha kazi hii muhimu ya kuwaleta pamoja wadau wote wa sekta mbalimbali za kiuchumi, kijamii, za mazingira, za utafiti na teknolojia. Kwa namna pekee kabisa, natambua na kuthamini michango muhimu ya washiriki wote wanaotoka nje ya mipaka ya bara letu la Afrika waliofika hapa kujumuika nasi kwa kuitakia mema Afrika na maendeleo yetu. Aidha, natambua mchango wa wadau wote walioitikia wito wa kushirikiana nasi katika kuimarisha na kuboresha mifumo ya chakula ya Afrika. Mifumo hiyo ni kuanzia uzalishaji, uhifadhi, usarifu na uwekezaji katika viwanda vya kuzalisha bidhaa za kilimo na uvuvi, miundombinu na mawasiliano, usafirishaji, teknolojia ya kisasa na utafiti. Na jambo la muhimu zaidi ni kutengeneza fursa kwa vijana na wanawake katika mpango mzima wa usalama na kujitosheleza kwa chakula. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, chini ya uongozi imara wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, nchi yetu imepiga hatua kubwa sana katika kutekeleza vipaumbele vyake vya maendeleo kwa kufanya mageuzi makubwa katika uchumi kwa kuifungua nchi yetu kwa uwekezaji mkubwa. Nachukua fursa hii kukupongeza Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kazi kubwa unayoifanya ya kuleta mageuzi makubwa katika sekta ya kilimo na usalama wa chakula nchini. Kipekee ni washukuru viongozi wote mliokuja katika mkutano huu muhimu. Tumepata faraja sana kuona mshikamano mkubwa ambao viongozi wenzetu mmeuonyesha kwa bara letu la Afrika katika kongamano hili. Hakika ni jambo jema sana na linaashiria mafanikio zaidi kwa siku zijazo katika kufanikisha ile safari ya Afrika tunayoitaka. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, licha ya kuwepo kwa changamoto mbalimbali ambazo tumezisikia katika midahalo yetu, zikiwemo changamoto ya uviko 19, uhaba wa pembejeo za kilimo, mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, athari za kimazingira, kutetereka kwa uchumi wa dunia na migogoro iliyo nje ya bara la Afrika inayoathiri mifumo yetu ya chakula, hatuna budi kama Afrika kusimama imara katika kuimarisha ubunifu, teknolojia, miundombinu na uwekezaji katika kilimo na mifumo ya chakula. Ndio maana wiki hii kongamano hili limewakutanisha wadau wote ili kwa pamoja tubuni mikakati mipya ya kuijenga upya mifumo yetu ya chakula barani Afrika. Tumejipanga upya katika kuzitumia rasilimali zetu za ardhi na bahari na katika uzalishaji zaidi wa chakula licha ya athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Yote haya yatafanyika ikiwa tutaweka nguvu zetu kwa pamoja kama Afrika katika uwekezaji katika kilimo, mifugo na uvuvi kwa kuzingatia usawa wa kijamii na wa kijinsia na kwa maendeleo ya vijana. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, kwa kumalizia, naomba nichukue fursa hii kuwashukuru watu wote waliowezesha kufanyika kwa shughuli hii adhimu ya viongozi wakuu wa mataifa ya Afrika kuja na mkakati wa pamoja wa kukabiliana na changamoto za mifumo ya chakula katika bara la Afrika kwa ushirikiano na wadau wote duniani. Baada ya shukrani hizi, sasa napenda nikutakieni nyote safari njema ya kurudi nyumbani. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program. Have a good evening. Enjoy the dinner. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Asanteni sana.